Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys been enjoying the content channel as of late. Just getting ready for work pretty soon here. Just got to head out in about an hour or so. So I figured to shoot this real quick because this is something that I've actually been curious to talk about because this follows from a news roundup that we did about I want to say like 3 months ago, revolving around the Mummy franchise when we talked about the Mummy 4 coming out or, officially on the way. And I was talking about how I felt how that film was really odd in terms of its timing, in terms of just its existence, really. And well, it seems as though with some new information that's now come out, or at least some rumors that are circling around the internet, that this may in fact have been an inside job because according to the internet and even the Wikipedia at this point, changing up some stuff here and there, which I know is not a reputable source, but there's a lot of people talking about a revamp for Lee Cronin's take on the Mummy, which is being distributed by Warner Brothers. And this is all facts, by the way, the stuff that I'm talking about right now. There is a Mummy film slated to come out this year, I believe in April, and it is distributed by Warner Brothers. Universal's, partners, Blumhouse, they are a part of this. They have helped finance the project. Yeah, and this is directed by Lee Cronin. He's the guy who brought back the Evil Dead franchise with Evil Dead Rise, which was also distributed by Warner Brothers. And apparently, according to some research that I had done, the man has a first look deal with Warner Brothers. So for those who don't know, Universal uh, licensed out the property to Warner Brothers in order for all this to happen. It's not like WB now owns the Mummy franchise or anything like that. Universal still owns the Mummy as it's a part of the Universal Monsters. But I think that what occurred here was that there was probably a lack of confidence in wanting to produce another entry into that specific brand because of the response and ultimately probably just the damage that the Tom Cruise version of the Mummy did, which was intended to start off a whole new universe, a dark universe. It's the infamous title card that was in the film now, which everyone kind of laughs at because it was supposed to be the starting point of that, and then it just went absolutely nowhere. It completely fell on its face, and since then the Universal monsters have just been kind of been around, but not exactly in prominence. We had The Invisible Man, which came out a few years back, which did fine. And then during the production of this film, we had Wolfman come out last year, which did not do particularly great. So, with that track record, you can see why Universal was probably more reluctant, more lenient on said properties, and were willing to hand out the license to other distributors, and why Warner Brothers can take a crack at it. Also, Lee Cronin having a first look deal with Warner Brothers, and if all parties involved wanted to have that specific person taking the helm of the project, then Warner Brothers uh, would probably be ending up as the distributor. At least it would be more. Warner Brothers would have a first crack, at said idea or a proposition, give such proposition to the filmmaker and the people involved. Um, but the filming wrapped back in June of last year. So since then, we haven't heard much of anything about the movie. We have no trailer, we have no images, we have absolutely nothing in regard to the film. And this film is supposed to come out, remind you, in April this year. So literally 3 months from now. So there have been some reports circulating, all just reports, by the way, no like hard confirmation from any of like the bigger outlets or anything like that, that suggest that the film has been going through some trouble. The test screenings have been reportedly very poor, and as a result of that, Universal is not confident with this being a mummy feature or a mummy film in general. So it seems as though that the film is now being revamped into an original horror piece entitled The Resurrected. Um, so we don't know exactly if this is true or not, but there seems to be a bit of validity to this. I just read something on Reddit that supposedly someone saw a test screening of this and they said it was not good. We don't know if they're just full of shit or not. You know, people can just say whatever they want online. But by vibe, there's a lot of suggestions to this potentially not coming out in the way that it was originally intended to. So when you think about all of what I just laid out to you, when you consider the announcement of the Mummy 4, and when that was, announced back a few months ago, I think it's safe to assume that the Mummy 4 at this point was in fact an inside job, and that what is happening right now is all in response to what is happening with Lee Cronin's film, and probably for what they saw of the movie, because them being financiers on this film, investing a bit into it, they have been privy to a cut, so they know what the film is going to look like, and they're concerned. And the test screenings probably confirmed those concerns and ultimately has prompted them to now move forward in a different direction with the Mummy franchise, which is to just continue forward with what they have established with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz and stuff like that. So yeah, that is what is probably we're probably looking at here, and we're probably expecting a delay for this. I would not be shocked at all if this gets delayed. I don't think this will be outright canceled. Um, I definitely think though that this revamp, a new titling and then having to switch the marketing up entirely, I think that that is definitely going to damage the financial potential for this film. Um, if it had any with the brand of the mummy on it, but I think that's where things are headed, and that is quite unfortunate, and it's very it's odd motivation, to give Universal, um, to because Universal was invested into this, and they still are. They are going to still profit off of this regardless. Their logo is still going to pop up with the Warner Brothers brand and stuff like that. Um, but they just don't want the Mummy franchise to be associated with it because they don't want to further damage that specific part of the Universal Monsters brand. So that's why they're now moving forward in a different direction with the Mummy franchise. And they can have that because they have that authority, because they are the ones who have financed and invested into this project. WB is only acting as a distributor. So, in that sort of vein, the person who has the money on the table is the one who has the more power. Thus, Universal can say, "Hey, we don't want you to make this a mummy film. Call it something else." Also, they own the IP, or the license itself. So, think of it as like the Sony and Marvel deal with Spider-Man, right? Sony is making their Spider-Man films, and Marvel doesn't make a lot of margins off of them. As far as I know, they make more sales off the toy sales than they do with the actual movie sale. Um, and back in the day, if you remember, Marvel, Kevin Feige specifically, was trying to actually get a bigger percentage from that deal. It was like a 50-50 split. And Sony walked away from that deal, and temporarily, Spider-Man was not a part of that series anymore. And then eventually they came back, and things are still in Sony's favor, but ultimately it they own that IP. So if they want to walk away, they could. If they didn't want that Spider-Man to be a part of the universe, they could. They're the ones ultimately with the higher power, and in the position of that deal, Sony makes the money, and the benefit that Marvel gets is to utilize that character within their own films. So, and they can make the profit with utilizing that character in specific ways, hence the Avengers movies and stuff like that. All that, is kind of in some ways similar to what the deal is here, except that uh, WB would probably make a certain cut, while Universal makes a certain cut. So, so yeah. But in this case, anyway, Universal is just saying no. We do not want this to be a mummy movie. Change it because we are not confident. The test screenings have shown us that this is not going to work. So we just want this to come out in a different way. So it's very telling. It's very telling of the state of this film, and it just confirms to me what I was talking about a few months back, where I just think this was an inside job. The whole announcement of the Mummy 4, I can believe that it was an inside job. It was them looking at what they had over at WB and saying no. And we're not going to have this happen. We're not going to further damage our property. So we're just going to go ahead and move forward in a different direction. And that's very unfortunate. So, it's left to be seen. We'll see if when a trailer comes out, if anything. I mean, I expect a delay. So, if they do end up, if it does end up coming out in 3 months, that just tells you again that they're also not confident with with the project, because if it has to come out marketing wise that soon, kind of tells you a certain thing. I mean, look at Avengers. We already have like 3 trailers out for Avengers, and that film doesn't come out for another year, or about at least till the end of this year. So it just tells you a lot. Even though we don't have confirmation, we do know based on just a lack of marketing, a lack of attention, a lack of just any news whatsoever, and a lack of updates, that the film is seeing some sort of trouble. How much trouble? That's yet to be seen. But I think it's safe to assume that it has some problems. But you guys, let me know. Do you guys buy into the reports? If you guys, I know there's NDAs involved and stuff like that, but if you guys have seen the test screenings, if any of you guys have seen it, let me know. I'd be curious to know your thoughts if you're legally allowed to speak on it. Um, uh, Let me know. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. How you guys feel this film will come out. You guys think that they will move forward as a mummy film? I just don't think they will at this point. It doesn't seem like that's the idea at this point. But let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.